has a shot, but it goes the other way.
Libos.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week.
A little bit older than you.
And I'm not touching this topic. I'm not touching it.
Yeah. Mediocre, mid-table, rabble.
So I just want to be able to talk as much
If you
crap.
play a night game, he has to turn the bloodlines on.
No one would have believed that he would keep his job for as long as he had.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Wednesday Week Owls Alumni edition. Tonight joining me is, I've just realised how long it's been since you played for us, Graeme, and I've now just aged significantly at this point while it's been doing it. But it's Mr. Graeme Lee's joined us this evening. Tonight joining me, I've got Stevie and Hollie as well, asking some questions, talking about your time with the Wednesday, and talk about some other bits as well, and where you come from and what you're doing. So let's get straight into it, Paul. So grew up in the northeast. I mean, was it one of those Wallsend Boys Club type of affairs, or did you go for a more orthodox approach?
No, yeah, we were obviously when we were kids. It wasn't so much as academy, but school of excellence. So I was always in like Middlesbrough. I'm from Middlesbrough, so I was always in Middlesbrough School of Excellence from the age of 8, 9. But I played for Martin Football Club, which was around Middlesbrough was the main, obviously grassroots team. But I've come from a footballing family. My dad was a player, and then he was a local non-league manager all our lives, really. So that's where I started off, grassroots, and then Middlesbrough School of Excellence, and then progressed into, I think it was Hartlepool in the end, where I started off when it was Hartlepool.
Well, so you'd have been about 17 years old when you signed your pro contract and all the rest of it. Did you get straight into the team, or did you get made to wait? Because I mean, you made a significant amount of appearances for Hartlepool.
Yeah, So I was obviously at Middlesbrough, and then I was at Leeds for a bit, York, and then under 16s I went to Hartlepool, and I always had it was weird. I was a centre forward, believe it or not, tricky winger when I was about 7 or 8, centre forward. All my youth, really, till I was 16. I got picked for York when York were like a championship team, playing centre half, as daft as it is, because I was already at Leeds at the time. And then I played against Hartlepool for York. Hartlepool offered me a scholarship, so I went in from school. I accepted that. I went in from school there, done first year as a youth team as centre forward. And then my centre half got injured in the last probably month of the season for the youth team, first year so still 16-year-old. And the manager booked me at centre half for a couple of games, and he was straight away like, I think we might have a centre half here. So at 17, just turned 17, he booked me in my second year scholar as a centre half, and within a month I got in the first team. And then that was it really. At 17-year-old, I made my debut in the Carling Cup at Highbury away, which was a good experience.
That's not too shabby.
Came on sub in that one, so that was brilliant. But yeah, I was probably destined to be a centre half, but it didn't happen until I was 17.
We call that doing a reverse Paul Warhurst.
Well, that got mentioned a few times, man.
It's weird because I find that as you get older, Stevie and I at some level have played centre back, but I remember being the quick striker when I was like 17, 18, and then as I got older, all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, Fudge, you're going centre back because I've filled out and all of it." You know what I mean? And then I'm like, and then what happens is you kind of get the centre back, and then they move you up to defensive midfield because you ain't got to do any running anymore. You know what I mean? That's not too bad. So let's get into Hartlepool then. So there's a point where you were a mainstay and part of the team and all the rest of it. I mean, did it come naturally to you, or did you?
It was, when I first broke in the first team, so Hartlepool in them days, we were like the equivalent of League 2 now. So it might be in the old Division 4, whatever it was, in 1995, 96, I broke in, it was literally youth team, first team. There was no in between. There was no nothing. So you were doing well in the youth team, you trained with the first team. First team let you know and kicked you every day and done all sorts to you. So you had to like stand your ground and when you went across there, but sometimes you didn't enjoy going across there because you knew what was coming. But that was.
Did you have any inductions or anything like like at Sheffield Wednesday now they make you stand on a chair and sing a song?
Oh,
did you?
Yeah, we've all through your career you've had all them. In them days, if you'd done a job wrong, you got pulled in the first team change room and put on a table, probably with no clothes on, and you had to sing songs. And it was a different era in them days, and it made you have a bit of character, and it's something a bit about you, really. Yeah, but once you got on the first team,
about 4 weeks ago, Graham, we had your old gaffer Chris Turner on, and he was talking about his induction.
Chris quite a lot.
Yeah, he's actually, it really surprised me how lovely and warm he was. Really, really good interview. And he was talking about the late 80s, mid 80s when he signed for Sheffield Wednesday. And what everybody's obsessed with getting everybody naked. It was about something, I think there was something along the lines of he got tied to the cop and with nothing on. And again, he did have the caveat of it was different times then.
yeah. No, there was, I remember when I was a youth, under 14s at Middlesbrough, and my brother was a scholar, and I could eat they were in for the day, and I could hear some commotion outside, and there was four scholars all stripped, and God knows what they threw on them, but it was all sorts, and it was the last one to find the back of the south stand lest something else happened to them. It was an eye opener to think, is this what happens in a football club? And I wasn't let down when I went in the Hartlepool as well. So yeah, there was a lot of different things went on in them days, rightly and wrongly, probably.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, go on, Steve.
Was obviously when we talk about these things, it's great to hear the stories and what have you. Was there anybody else that went on to forge a career that was going up at the same time as you? Anybody that went on to play at any sort of level?
Tommy Miller was in the youth team with me, so played with Sheffield. He was the year below me, so he came in. He was the year behind me, really, coming through. So, yeah, and Tommy had a fantastic career and went on Ipswich and Sheffield and Sunderland. And I still speak to Tommy now. He was actually he's Spennymoor manager at some point as well, what I am now. So, no, there was Tommy. There was quite a few lads got, like, Football League debuts within Hartlepool because we were such a small squad. You got me thinking. I've headed too many footballs to try and think that far back. But yeah, I know. Obviously, Tommy had a fantastic career.
Absolutely. Let's get to then. So played a significant amount for Hartlepool, but obviously being the Sheffield Wednesday podcast that we are, we want to talk about the Owls, right? So why don't you tell us how the move came about, and did you get a snifter of it happening? That type of thing. Did you already know Chris Turner at the time?
Well, obviously Chris was my manager. So when I broke into Hartlepool, it was my first 3 years was just a dogfight. My uncle used to say, if you can defend in this team, son, you can defend in any team. It was survival. That's all we were. And then we had a takeover, and then Chris came in, and things turned around. We were then a top end team and pushing for playoff. I think we got in the playoffs three years in a row before getting automatic promotion. And once it was that year we got promoted, we were top of the league by Christmas. Chris left to go to Sheffield. And like one thing led to another. He'd made contact, and we had the same agent, so it was quite easy. But Chris wanted to bring me to Sheffield. Obviously, at the time, it was for me. I've been waiting. I was just turning 24, so I was on a Bosman. So it was perfect timing, really. And I actually came down to the club. Probably wasn't meant to, but I came down probably end of March and spoke to Chris. I seen the lads training on the pitch. Probably agreed, knew enough what was going to happen by then. So I knew it was going to happen. It was just I needed to finish my season. We got promoted with Hartlepool, and then I was praying. Obviously, Sheffield stayed in the Championship, but it didn't happen. But obviously, it was still a fantastic move for me and one I look forward. And I reflect back on my time there as a club. It was one of the best. Well, it is the best club I've played for in the sense of what that was, in the sense of the fan base and the size of the club.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Now, you mentioned then about finishing that season and being top at Christmas. Hartlepool absolutely romped that season. Your final.
We did till Chris left.
Did you ever? Because I never got to ask this Chris Turner, but was there a point where you were kind of pissed off at him for not finishing the project a little bit? Because that phrase gets used a lot, and it would have been a really personal move for Chris to come over to Sheffield Wednesday. But
that's it. No, I think the size, known the move for Chris, and as a player, I don't think I ever thought that. You just sort of look and you understand, especially if you've got ambitions. And Chris knew straight away he had ambitions to be a manager at the highest level if he could. And obviously Sheffield Wednesday was a massive pull to him for in his ex-club as well, and where he's from. So no one questioned it. I think everyone just wished him all the best. He'd done unbelievable things for us, like as players from him coming in, and put us from a bottom league table team to playoff fighting promotion team. So no, you understand football in them days and what that move meant to him, but the size of the club as well. So no, definitely was one of them. You hoped he phoned you.
I tell you what, the term "them days," Hollie. You know what I mean? I bet you remember him really, really vividly, don't you, H?
I do actually. Well, no, I've repressed some of it. I'm not going to lie, but then, as with most Sheffield Wednesday seasons, but they were a really good. After the relegation, it sort of all came back together again, didn't it? And Graeme, you were a fan favourite throughout your time at Hillsborough, I would say. But also, I feel like that was one of that was a period of time, not just that one season, a couple of seasons in a row where the players still felt like real people that you could interact with. We did like the bowling, and you did like the bowling nights and stuff. That's something that would just never happen now. Footballers aren't like within reach anymore. But I feel like at that point, players, and even like, we'll come on to Paul Sturrock, I suppose, but even like Chris Turner and Paul Sturrock seemed like real people that you could actually talk to as fans. So we felt a little bit more connected to you guys back then than you do these days, I guess.
I can't remember the bowling. No, I remember when I first joined the club, and there was players there. I was obviously been there a few years, and it was probably like it felt so like they said to me, "Oh, you can't go in town. The Sheffield United fans or this or so and so this." So like for the first 5 or 6 months, didn't really go anywhere. Like tried to stay out the way, thinking, "Oh, I've just joined a big club. I shouldn't be going out in the air. Shouldn't be that." And it was weird. And it was that was the first season there, and it was like not till about 5 or 6 months in when you start like going out a bit and socialise a bit more, and then realising what a fantastic city it was, and it was just a footballing city and people. Like friendly people. I moved, and about 5 or 6 of the team the next season who moved in. Like so, all we all moved to like just around next to the training ground, Wadley Park Village. So it was like 5 or 6 of us on the estate there, and my next door neighbours were like Sheffield Wednesday fans, and we had street parties together, and he wouldn't speak to me if we'd lost, and it was just a fun. My wife says it's still one of her favourite places to live. Like how friendly the people were, and like I said, for us as players, like, and you talk about managers, Chris and Paul, and they were just good people. And Chris is from the area, and I don't think anyone would ever shy away from having a chat with people and talking and socialising. It was that type of feel. I think. My first year was a bit of a culture shock because obviously it went a bit pear-shaped the back end of the season. I missed quite a lot, and I think the fans had a bit of a protest, and things didn't go quite the way it should have been. But the second year, obviously, was when we got the promotion, and that season, you talk about socialising. Them group of players, like we went, like the players lounge. There was a man called Gary Adstead who passed away. He was a fantastic man. Sheffield Wednesday fan, but also like great man. And my wife called him his second dad in the end because he looked after us that much. But he used to give us carry out from the players' bar, and we'd go have a few drinks at home, and then the whole squad would go out. And we'd meet in town, and we'd have a drink, and then we'd go out. And if you were with your wife, if you were a girlfriend, if you were single, we all went out together, and that's how it was. And it was every Saturday. It wasn't organised; it just happened, and that type of thing just fed onto the pitch that we were together and we were a group of players who wanted to win and play for each other and fight for each other, and that's when you get success.
That's really interesting, that actually, because I think we had Matt Amshaw on, and he was saying the same thing, that when the team got promoted, after Cardiff and went up, he said that Sturrock kind of broke up that camaraderie a little bit because he wanted to get in obviously better players, and it kind of lost something. And he said that the club lost something at that point, which is because it was a difficult time for the club those couple of seasons, and to have that camaraderie and get out of it was it's something that it was a sobering couple of seasons for Sheffield Wednesday fans specifically, and to have that in and around and know that you're all in it together and understood it was great. But
I'll go back to Chris Turner, and a lot of credit for that season where he literally. I remember going to a presentation at the end of my first season with him, and we were going to I think it was the Hilton in town. And we didn't, as much as he was my manager, I didn't really speak to Chris as much, nothing like I do now. It was I was always respected the manager, but tried to stay out the manager's way as much as I could. And he turned around to me and went, I'm getting rid of everyone. I was like, all right. I was saying, I don't want to hear this. It's I'm going to go in training tomorrow. He said, I'm having the right clear out. And he named one player, Stephen Haslam. He said, he went, I'm probably going to keep Stephen, but the rest and all that. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. So the next 2 days, he was having the meetings with the lads, and I'm sat there. And I remember Stephen Haslam really being nervous to me and saying to me, I'm dreading this and all that in my own town team. And I was like, I said, don't worry, you'll be all right. And then he went in and he wasn't. And I was like, oh. I went to Chris, I was like, what happened there when I changed my mind? I was like, oh, Jesus. But Chris, from that, he brought a new squad of players in, like Chris Brunt, Glenn Whelan, Lee Bullens, all these players, Lee Peacocks, McGovern, all these players. And the first thing he did is he took us on a pre-season tour to Ibiza.
Brilliant.
And that wasn't a pre-season tour. It was more like an end of season tour. But now I know why. He just wanted that group of players to blend together, to have a camaraderie, give us a bit of freedom, and he tried to not give us too much freedom, but we ended up having more freedom, what we probably without him realising. But it was just one of them things, and it didn't work for him at first, but it was a new squad. But if you look at that team, and Paul Sturrock came in, and he was totally different to Chris, but he knew what he wanted. He was organised. He just ran I can swear, he ran the shit out of us and got us fit, organised and we were a talented group of players. And then we just kicked on from there. But it was like I said, I always look back and think, Chris formed that team and brought that together. And I could see why he did that in pre-season, what he did. And then obviously Paul came in and back in, and we started kicking on after Christmas.
There's a really good bit, actually. So when we get players in from around the early 90s, from 91, they tell a story about Ron Atkinson getting smashed at training. And I hear different bits of that story every time. But when I speak to players from your era, that trip to Ibiza, I want to say it was the night before you went home and Macca didn't make it on time.
There was not just Macca, there was... what was he? There was a couple of young lads, Lewis McMahon. I remember we had a train on a Friday morning, and he said, hey, do what you want tonight, but be on that bus for 9:30. And we had to just go. So we were literally getting in and getting the training kit on and just getting on the bus just to make sure. And Lewis McMahon was running on the side of the bus, still in his gear, banging on the side of the bus, trying to get on the bus. I don't know how it happened, but I was left with Guy Branston. Now, I hope you've had a few guys, one of the craziest lads you'll ever come with. Unbelievable lad, full of personality. But I was stuck with him, not stuck with him. Me and him were left in a taxi at 7:30 to get back to the hotel. And he decided there's another nightclub opening. It opens at 8:00. We'll go there. It's called Bed or whatever. And I just go home. We're training now. No, one more. And he was doing somersaults from the back seat of the taxi into the front seat on top of the driver. The driver keeps pulling over, out in the middle of nowhere. And we're just giving him 20 more, whatever euros or whatever it was. Please, no, can we stay a bit longer? And it was so he dropped us off at this place. It wasn't even open. We had to get another taxi back to the bus, and then we got back on. Thankfully, made it on the bus. But there was one or two who definitely didn't make it that day.
Did you ever get stung for Guy Branston's pound coin trick?
Which one was that one again? Remind me.
For some reason, I mean, the geezer was lovely. It terrifies me to look at him, but the geezer was lovely, and he kept telling. He told us a story, didn't he, Stevie, about he puts pound coins up his nose and
Oh,
says,
yeah,
and
I've seen
just
that.
keeps the money or some shit.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, the Guy was one of them. So we'd go out like I said, every weekend we'd go out, and then Guy would ring you on the morning, and not just you, like near enough all the team to make sure everyone was still talking to him. Like he'd ring me. He still rings me now the same way. He still rings me now the same way. And he goes, because I'm nicknamed Spike, and he'll Spike like every time, and then he'll like then he goes into whatever. But them days it was like, was they all right last night? Am I behaving myself? All right. He talked to me. Yeah, we're all good, Guy. And then he'd go on to the next one. But
this is before the days of the WhatsApp group, innit?
yeah, there it was. Yeah, that one is. But I have got one story, Guy Branston, that like. If you've had Lee Bullen on, he might tell you the story. But we were out, we met in Vodka Revolution. I think we used to meet Vodka Revolution. So we'd been out one night, and people would bring the girlfriends' wives, but like because it was the first bar, Lee Bullen brought his dad. Now his dad was in his 70s, and he wasn't like Lee. He was small and slim. And then so all our drinking, and he's getting his dad a taxi on the way home, and we've all come out. But then you can hear him commotion, and guys put Lee's dad under his arm, and he's running around and using him as a battering ram to all the lads, and you can see Lee Bullen's chasing him, going, put him down. I'm like, it's like, but that was Guy for you.
There's always somebody in a group that's a right social hand grenade, isn't there?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It was clearly Guy Branston. Stevie, have you got anything you wanna pull at?
Yeah. You talk with a real warmth about your time with Chris Turner. How did you find that transition between Turner and Sturrock? Was it a big one for you to sort of? I'm really sorry. We just hit a thumbs up on screen.
I'm getting a thumbs up. Yeah, I see them.
Some technical difficulties there.
Yeah.
I was about to ask the difference between Turner and Sturrock. And how you managed that, and the sort of feeling.
It was obviously. Yeah, it was a tough one. Obviously, my record at Sheffield, I was injured quite a lot. So it was like I had a strange with Paul. It was so when he first came in, I'd been injured. I'd done my knee pre-season against Birmingham, and I played a couple of games, and I just wasn't right. So I had an operation, and then we played Walsall in the reserve game, and it was just before Paul had come in, or he must have got the job, and he came to this game. But I got told off the physio do 45 minutes and make no contact. So like my game was making contact and headers, but like he just wanted me to get through the most, like go through the movements in a game, but try not to make contact as much as you normally would. So I played 45 minutes in this game, and then Paul got announced the next week, and then I played another reserve game, and then we weren't winning at the time. The first team, he was doing a lot. He does a lot of running, Paul, so I had to do all this running and fitness and different stuff. But I kept playing the reserves games. I knew I was flying, playing well, but he wouldn't put me in. And I went to see him, and I was like, I feel as though like you need me in the team, but you're not putting me in the team. And he was I watched you against Walsall and that game, and you lost a header to him, and he scored, and he done this. And I was like, I'm just coming back from injury. I was told I just can't get out of my head. I was like, but I'm playing all these other games, like, so we had it, like, it was weird. And then I was like on the bench for football, and then it worked out. It was Doncaster away, and it was me and Richard Wood ended up getting in the team through probably default and whatever it was, injuries or whatever. And we went on that run, and that's when, but like, I think we went on, I don't know what run it was, 23 games. And it was when I got injured, we ended up losing again. So I got injured against Blackpool. I think it was a cup. I think or whatever it was, and
different injury or a recurring one.
No, it was I kicked the ball, felt my groin tighten up at half time, but we give it a go at half time. Kicked the ball again, and I said I'll come off precautionally, and then for some reason it just wouldn't recover. They kept so, and then it went from like not playing to playing all these games, and then rushing me back, trying to get fit. And I remember the Hartlepool when we got beat 3-0 in the rain. I think it was 3-0 or whatever it was, but because it was my old team, I was desperate to get back, and I kept trying to train early, and I just kept breaking down, and so my groin wouldn't heal. So then we went for scans. I ended up going to London just before the playoffs and getting it this Gilmore groin or whatever it was to try and get it healed. But I ended up signing a new contract going into the championship, and Paul pulled me like, after all them games, and he went, "I've signed Graham Coughlin. He'll play when he's fit, and I don't think you'll compliment each other." So I was like, "All right, well, that's all right. I've just signed you a 2-year deal, and that's what you're saying to me." So it was a bit like one of them like fine. I played 14 games in that championship up until Christmas, but I spat my dummy out because the Sheffield United game, he had me in all the set pieces, all the things for going into the game. Then I didn't start, and I was just like, I'm done here. I think it was the first time in my career I'd been sort of like messed around a bit, and I probably spat my dummy out a little bit too quick. But it's one of them things you look back and you made a decision. You can't look back and regret it.
No, it's really
Were
interesting.
there ever any sort of conversations that
You've got a delay on Stevie. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
Say that again.
Start again with was there any conversations?
I'm so sorry. I was going to ask, because obviously you've got that sort of that frosty relationship at the beginning where he's seen you in the reserve team, but then you come in, you've played that sort of level, and you've gone on that run, and you've earned your way, and you've kept your way in the squad. Were there ever any sort of situations in that run where you thought, things aren't quite right here, and I'm going to go and see the manager, I'm going to have a conversation?
Oh, not while I was playing. When you're playing, you're all right, and it's always the same. But no, that Walsall game got brought up even when I was negotiating a contract again. It was like for some reason he couldn't get it out his head. I think it was, even though I'd played 20 odd games in League One with him and done really well, it was still stuck in his head a little bit, I think. And then I don't know, I had some like Paul. He was running drills and all these things, and unfortunately I wasn't good at running, so I didn't tick a box in that way with him. Before I left, this is probably why I ended up leaving. So he done these runs called 40s and 80s, and they were absolute killer. And it was like I'm guessing quite a few of the lads will have mentioned it in his era. So
yeah, I want to say it was a Monday or a Tuesday, and he'd go, "I'm gonna fucking pump you."
I'm gonna pump
like
you. He'll come in with his stopwatch, and you're in your tea room, in the little tea room, and he'll just come in going, "I'm gonna fucking pump you today," and he was like, "Oh shit." And anyway, so we'd had an international break. It was when we just got a championship, and so you always ran us when we had one on the Tuesday. So you come in on the Monday afternoon, you got through the session, and then you knew Tuesday was just going to be a beast. So I'd been home for the weekend. I came home Friday. It must have been a party or somewhere, whatever it was, and I'd had a good drink Friday, Saturday, probably Sunday, and I thought, drive up Monday morning, get through the session, and then recover, and I'll be ready for whatever he throws at us on a Tuesday. And I got into training, and I got like a shout saying, "Oh, the gaffer wants to speak to you." I was like, "Oh, right." So he pulled me in, and he went, "I've been thinking you're not good at short distance running, and you're not good at long distance running." He said, "I think it's in your head." He said, "Show me today you can do it." And I was like, "Today?" And he was like, "Yeah, show me today." And I was like, "Oh my God." So we went out.
Blowing.
Oh, I was hungover. I was struggling. I'd had like 3 days. So we've gone out and done these runs, and I've scraped in the first. We was 3 sets, and I've scraped through. And I wasn't a good runner anyway. I scraped through the first 2 sets. A few seconds out the last one, and then there was getting the last one set of 80s in 36 seconds. I crawled over the line in 55 seconds, and I laid on the floor, and I laid in that fit. And all the lads had gone home for the next 2 hours. I laid in the change room floor with my heart. Like, if anyone puts it on, they'd probably took me to hospital. I was just pounding for about 2 hours. I just couldn't recover. It was so he's probably told his staff at that point, going, "I've had a good chat with him today. He'll be right at it." And then I could just see his face looking at me, like laying on the floor. I'm thinking, "Oh shit." So yeah, that's probably one of the reasons he wasn't keen.
It's them flavour vodka shots at Revolutions, mate.
Yeah.
They'll do it. They're like wolf in sheep's clothing, mate.
Yeah, true.
Hollie, you mentioned something earlier, and I really want to come back to it because nobody remembers it. You're going to have to tell me about the bowling.
Tell me about it. You got a player on your lane, and you just played bowling. But can you even imagine players doing that now? Like, that wouldn't happen, would it?
I think I do remember something like that. Yeah, you wouldn't have been good if you had me in your team.
We had you on our team, and we had
Oh,
the
did you?
year after that we had Glenn Whelan.
Right.
But I just can't imagine that happening now. Players
Yeah,
just
yeah.
interact in the same way.
It's down to I think it's down to the club. If the club want to be really pushing the community, and you've got to make the lads do it, and the lads enjoy it. When sometimes the thought of the lads doing things like it can be a little bit daunting. Thinking, oh, what's going to happen? But then when they get there, they know it's fine and you enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Glenn Whelan were a lot more reserved than you, I would say.
Glenn is, yeah.
Is he?
That's Glenn's character. I think he just sits back, he takes it all in. Yeah,
I can imagine, like, you're going out, you've had a few pints, and you and Guy Branston are throwing, little people around, and Glenn's like one of those guys that'll kind of sit in the back and go, "What the fucking hell's happening here?" Like, you know what I mean? That type of guy.
Yeah.
He comes across as one of those. Okay, so go on, Ali. Sorry.
So you mentioned that you wanted to play against Hartlepool in one of the games, but you scored against Hartlepool.
Yeah, my first game,
yeah. So I wanted to know whether that just happened to be against Hartlepool, or you made a point of, like when people get underneath and they make a point of scoring or whatever.
Yeah. No. I wish it could work like that. I think it just happens, and I just left my team who I'd come from school for 8 years at Hartlepool, and sod's law, we drew them in the cup straight away, and we had them in the same league. So yeah, it just worked out. I remember one of their lads shouting when I scored, like because obviously I played for them. They all knew me. They knew I was good in the air. They knew I'd score goals. So I knew, like, how the F is he being left by himself, sort of thing. So it was one of them things. Yeah, but I remember one of the centre forwards, because he obviously knew me. We kicked off and he ran straight up to me. And he was like, hey, don't be kicking me today. I was like, all right, no problem. First chance I've got is like straight through him.
Yeah, straight up his ass. What's that? First 5 minutes, make him know you're there.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, when you scored, me and my dad fully committed to this, which I feel like you let us down on it, to be fair. But we fully committed to singing Graeme Lee, scoring goals for Wednesday, Graeme Lee, to Let It Be. Right, fully committed to it, and I feel like since you only scored a couple more goals after that, you let us down.
I'm sorry.
It could have been one of the Wednesday greatest songs there.
It could have been, couldn't it? Yeah, could have went down.
Finding the onion bag.
As soon as that ball was in net, that were it. My dad were up, Graeme Lee. And then...
Brilliant. I wish it did take off. Yeah.
Have you got any stories about, like, being in town and stuff like that, or like did you mentioned earlier that sometimes the Sheffield United fans can get a bit leery when they're out in town, or did you find they kind of left you alone a little bit?
Yeah, I don't think they probably knew. They probably didn't know who we were. But no, I didn't have no issues along them. Like when I first moved, probably it was like, so me and my wife, we just I think we might have came up looking at houses before the season started. And then we went to Meadow Hall. So we're walking around, and as we're walking around, I'm going, like, I could, when you see, like, through the reflection, and there was like 3 people, two boys and a girl behind us. And then 5 minutes later, I'm going, they're still behind us then. And I've went in a shop, and they're in the shop. I went in the next shop, and like it went on for like 45 minutes. I'm thinking, like, so my wife's panicking. She's holding her handbag tighter to her, and we're from Middlesbrough, so you expect these things then. And then, like, in the end, I, like, probably in Primark or something, I turned around and I went, "Can I help you?" Like, thinking, like, what's the problem? And they went, "Oh, you just signed for Sheffield Wednesday." I was like, "Oh, right, yeah." I was like, "Can we have an autograph?" And like they had a like bit of paper, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, gosh, can." I was like, "Why didn't you just tell me like half an hour ago?" And they were like, "Oh, we didn't want to bother you," but they just like, but like, but then I sort of realised, like, oh God, this is quite a big club. This, you might get recognised, you might like, and then so yeah, that was probably my first realisation that it's quite a big club. This.
Yeah. We talk a lot about when we speak to these players about 2 things: walking out of Hillsborough for the first time when it's rocky, like that type of thing. And I mean, let's get into that, and then I'll move on to the other one after. I mean, there must have been a point where you've gone, shit, Like if that's happened in Meadowhall, right, and you've gone, oh Christ, and then there must have been a point where you walked out that Silver Linings playing.
That song. Like even now, if I talk about like go back to your hairs on your neck stand up, it was like you didn't need. So I look at lads now and they have these gels and they have these shots of energy. You didn't need it. You just stand on that pitch and listen to that song and like. You look back now and think, God, just one more time, having that feeling. Like it was unbelievable. I think something like when we were doing well, 30,000 singing that song behind you, and you're like waiting to kick off, but singing this song with them, like you just couldn't not. It was like one feeling I'll never ever forget. It was just a special, like the noise, and like you look around the grounds I've been to and trying to. You play and see other teams what they do, and probably Leeds is probably the closest one I've been to with what they have. But it's some feeling when that just before kick off, and it just gives you adrenaline, it gives you energy straight away, and you're just ready to go.
I didn't realise how spoiled we were as football fans. You know, when you're like a kid and you first start going, and you think that every other club's like it. You know what I mean? And then you go somewhere else, and you're like. Where is everybody? What's happening here? You're like, we're away or something.
Yeah, well, every away game we went, it was like a home game. Like in the end, like especially when we were in League One, it was like there were talkies away, filling the full stand behind the goal. So all them teams must have been absolutely buzzing. Sheffield Wednesday in the league.
I think the pubs were the local boozers.
The pubs will have been definitely. Well, definitely that, like I said, the playoff final. Then. When you walked around the streets and Jesus, the fans everywhere, the blue and white everywhere was just absolutely unreal. But that's a fun.
We'll get to the playoffs in just a bit, but the other question that we normally ask is, like Sheffield Wednesday fans who are to coin their phrase, they're not backward at coming forward when it comes to feedback. And you know what I mean? So, you as Hollie mentioned, you were a bit of a crowd favourite. Did you ever get any of those glimpses where the crowd would get on your back with a misplaced pass or a missed tackle or something like that, and you can hear that sound whinge coming across?
Yeah, like I said, for me, I can have nothing but praise. Like I felt sort of like the love, but I was a committed player, so I'd like to think they could see that, and the way I played was like sort of appreciated. But yeah, there was times when the team wasn't doing well, and you could feel it. Or even when I was injured that first season, and you could sense the frustration. But I always said they'd boo us off at half time and cheer us back on. Like they just wanted you to do what they expect and fight and scrap and work hard, like most fans want to see. And if they've seen it, then they got behind you. And like you said, it wasn't. They weren't a team who because they'd been Premiership. I don't think they were like ever in League One expecting to see the best football in the world because of being a Premiership club. They were fans who just wanted to see commitment by the players and fight and hunger. And like I said, Frank, I'd like to think I give that, and that's why I was appreciated. But no, like I said, my time, and like I said, I probably seen more of it when I was injured and being on the touchline in the stand watching and see the frustrations of people. But like I said, I always feel so. As much as they'd boo you at half time or whatever, they'd be cheering you back on and want you to do well.
Was there anybody? Sorry, Hollie. I was just gonna ask this one because it just follows on. My apologies. Was there anybody else who played alongside you on shoulder to shoulder? You've walked out that you've heard the crowd getting on their back, and it's every bloody week, and you sit there and you think, thank Christ I'm not them. Like Ashley Westwood springs to mind, and Jacques Magoma, and players such as that have played for a club, and they just haven't taken to the fans.
There was obviously some players, because it's such a big club, some players probably couldn't handle the crowd, and there was a couple of lads. Sometimes you do feel as though you don't want to name them because it's disrespecting them and let them tell their own story. But there was a few people who done really well at other clubs, but just couldn't handle it at Wednesday, and the pressure and the crowd, and it was like, I don't know, the ones who could are the ones who thrived and the ones who the fans appreciated. But yeah, I think some people went within themselves and then they end up not getting appreciated.
Sorry,
the same player you'd pick and train every day.
I was just going to say, when it's not going so well and you're injured, do you think, thank fuck that's not me, or do you think I want to get back on there to turn it around? Which way?
Trying to look back, probably.
It's a good question.
Bit of both. Bit of both. Yeah, bit of both. No, listen, I always wanted to be back out on the pitch, and I felt as though I could probably help if I was on the pitch. But no, it was. There was times when I think, QPR last game of the season, was it QPR in 2004, something like that, where it wasn't pretty, and there was a lot of aggro, and I think one lad scored an own goal, and there was so I'm sure it was that game, but it was just one of them where it was just like, yeah, you wouldn't want to be out there in this moment. But like I said, for me, I had nothing but good times when I was out on that pitch, and like I said, I love being out there, and I just wish I wasn't as injured as much.
Stevie, before I go to the playoff campaign, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I want to hear about the playoffs.
Let's get into it, Graeme, because we spoke to Carlton Palmer, who didn't get to play in the League Cup final in 1991, and there was something that Ron Atkinson said to him at the time where he said, "I need you to be Carlton Palmer. I need this to be the best game of your life," even though he weren't playing because he was suspended at the time. Did you have any kind of speech like that? I mean, what was your input into that playoff campaign?
Wind the lads up the night before and do a few pranks, I think, and ironing boards and doors, and I think me and Matty Amshaw had a few little things. Yeah, it was just trying to keep it as normal. I think if you look back, we all went in tracksuits. It was the manager said, "What do you want, suits?" And I think I'd say just let's keep everything the same. I think the lads just want to keep everything the same, not make a big fuss out of it.
Oh, you could have been the Spice Boys.
I know. Well, look back. I could have had a free suit, so I should have took it. So
could have had a free suit. Could have had a chant from Hollie and her dad as well.
Yeah, exactly. I missed it all here. So so we just try to keep it as relaxed as possible. It was hard for me because it was obviously Hartlepool. So, and I was sat on the bench, but I'd come me and Steve McLean were injured together. He got told his season was over, my season was over. But obviously with the playoffs, give him half a chance, which obviously worked out quite well in the end. So it was just being on the bench and seeing the atmosphere, being with the lads in the change room. But no, there was no speeches or anything from me. It was just like I said, the night before was just a few little pranks to try and relax people and settle them and keep things as normal as can. And then watching the lads do their business on the pitch, it was like I said, it was hard because I think our dugout was right next to the Hartlepool fans, so it was especially in extra time when we scored the fourth, and I wasn't meant to be even standing up properly on my groin, but we were bouncing away, and I turned around, I could see just daggers in me, at me looking at me saying, "Why are you celebrating?" And it was like, as much as I do love Hartlepool, and it's like a club, it's the team you play for, you're going to celebrate because it's your own personal achievement as well.
How gutted were you? You know, when you walk out, and what was some like 80,000, and we took another 10, 20,000 of their tickets. It's all blue and white. There must have been a part of you that thought
it was. It was obviously I was devastated to be even missing any games, and then the playoffs came round, and then getting to the final. Like when we played Brentford, I was in the hotel waiting for surgery, so I couldn't even go to that game, so I missed them. And then I was back out ready for obviously the final. The bus was amazing. The bus was pulling up, and we had a soundtrack. The manager said like everyone but one song on, and Paddy Collins wasn't there at the time, so we put Britney Spears. Oops, I Did It Again, just to wind up, just to saying Paddy's picked this, and it came on, didn't it? As we're coming to the ground, I'm thinking, "Oh, everyone, who's picked this?" And we were like, "It's Paddy." They were like, "So yeah, so that."
What song did you pick?
Yeah, what was yours?
I think mine was Gold. Always Believing. Trying to go something a little bit more deeper to try and motivate. but so that pulling up to the ground and the fans either side, then you're just like, God, I wish I'm not ready to play for this. And then once you walked out for the kickoff and seeing the lads lined up, and it's what you used to watch on the telly, never mind being there and being part of it and wanting to, and should have been out there. So I was gutted, but still my teammates and what we'd gone through that season and being stuck together, you were proud of the lads and what they'd done. And like I said, it was a hell of a game and end to end. And thankfully, like I said, I was with Macca. We were injured and we were good friends anyway. And to him to get on and score his 20th goal in the last minute of the game and give his celebration because of his goal bonus. But yeah.
I have to say, like, there's something about Wembley and the atmosphere at Wembley, but there was really something about that Cardiff playoff.
It was, yeah.
When you came out, well, before you went in, but also when you came out at the stadium, and it was just people on top of people. It was the atmosphere at that was something else.
It was like I said, it was surreal to be part of it. It was brilliant just to be part of it, but the atmosphere and the way it ended, obviously, as I went on the pitch, I went obviously to see the Hartlepool lads to make sure, pat them on the heads and that, but they're just near enough, go celebrate, enjoy yourself. And then I had Paul Heckenbottom jump on my back, and I wasn't meant to be standing up properly on my groin anyway. I'm like, get off. Like,
6 months out.
He's trying to celebrate, and I'm like, get off. Like, so yeah, it was. But no, it was some journey on. Paul Heckenbottom he still had his kit on the way back, and he was jumping in people's cars with a trophy. Because we were stuck in the traffic, and he jumped in a Hartlepool car, which didn't go damn well. So yeah, but then the services, probably that's one of the things what stick out to me most. We went in the services, and we went up the escalator, toilets, and people must have got wind. The buses stopped or just followed us in, and we came out, and the whole services down below was just full of Wednesday fans singing, and you were just stood above them, just thinking, wow, what a just a feeling that was, and to be like that and to share that with the fans.
Yeah,
I didn't want to play Hartlepool in the final because I thought they were absolutely brilliant that season, and that keeper that they had were just saving loads of penalties, and it was just like anybody but them. And so,
he should have saved Macca's penalty. It was he got a good hand to it, to be fair. But
I tell you what, Graeme. Actually, just on the back of that, listen. It's just me and you here. It's just me and you here. That was never a penalty, were it? We absolutely robbed them blind.
Yeah,
I mean, if you'd have been the defender, if you'd have been Westwood, right?
He was my defensive partner all the way through. So
I bet he was fucking furious.
No, it was. You just take it at the time. It's only probably now you look back and go, yeah, it probably wasn't, but you stick to your guns for the last 10 years. It was.
All right, so let's wind it down now for the last 10. So you've just been promoted, and so what was the story there? Because like there was that bit that Chris Turner said to you, you know what I mean, where he said, "I'm going to get rid of these," and that's around the time we lost Geary and Bromby, and they went and Quinney, and they went to the other side of the city, didn't they? Yeah. Did Sturrock want to do that again, or was it just a case of just adding players in and just changing it up?
I think I had a chat sporting, but it's just about myself. I didn't have that relationship where Paul, but I went in. Obviously, he'd offered me something, I think, prior to the playoffs, and then so as we're getting like, I was umming and ahhing because he was offering me less money than what I was on, and I wasn't on great money anyway. So I was umming and like didn't know what to do, but I was injured. But then as soon as we got promoted, I was like, I want to be part of the championship anyway. This is what I've come for. And I was in my own head thinking I must have won him over by he's offering me a new contract, and so we had our own discussions with him, my personal, but I didn't know what he wanted to do. But I knew he had players who he'd worked with in the past who he wanted to bring in. And like I said, well, you talk about bringing the players in, the impact Kenwyne Jones had us was absolutely unbelievable, wasn't it? So them type players, but then he brought in his own, like what he wanted, the pre-season, and that pre-season's probably one of the hardest pre-seasons I've ever had in the sense of fitness-wise, but because I was injured, I wasn't allowed to kick a ball till literally the week before the season started because of my groin. So I was allowed to run, which is the worst, probably best and worst thing under Paul Sturrock. So I'd do all the running on the morning with the lads. And when they got the balls out, I'd run again on the afternoon with any new signing. Whoever came in, I had to do the same runs for them. So I was doing double his pre-season runs, which was the hardest one ever. So it was continuing. And literally, I think I kicked the ball on the Monday before the Saturday against Stoke. And I think Graham Coughlin, who came in, was either injured or suspended. So I started that game, and I'd only had like literally three sessions on the ball probably. I played that game nil each, wasn't it, I think, and then we played Hull at home. And I just felt so after that game, I thought, yeah, I'm all right in this championship. And like, you know, when you like confident think, yeah, I can handle this, I'm all right, like, good. And then we went Ipswich away, and he left me out the whole squad. Nothing said, just took me down there overnight and left me out the squad. And I was just sat like.
He took you down to Ipswich to just leave you out? Yeah,
just left us out of the squad from nothing, from being playing the first 2 games as well, and like doing well. And so yeah, that was like where I was like in a sense of and so then like I just spat me down. I sat in the players' lounge and like and watched the game on the TV and just I was my head had gone. And then after on the Monday, he debriefed on the Sunday and he went, "You watched the game. What do you think?" I went, "I didn't watch the game." You know what you mean? I said, I did. I just went. I didn't have a ticket, so I had to stay in the players' lounge. And he just looked at me. It was one of them. It was one of them. Like you hadn't even spoke to me to say I'm leaving you out. Never mind why I'm leaving you out, or never mind like not even on the bench. It was just out the whole squad. And so it was like yeah. So then I was in and out a few times and played. But when I played, I felt as though I was fine. It was just. But then I pulled him. December after the Sheffield United game, I pulled him. I said, I want to leave. And he said, "No, I'm not letting you go, but you can go on loan." I said, "I don't want to go on loan because I'll end up coming back play for you, and I don't want to." So that was my last real. That was my last real. And then I remember going. I think it was in between Christmas and New Year, and there was a friendly against Barnsley on Hillsborough, and Chris Turner was walking through the car park, and I got out my car and I was walking. He went, "Are you playing in this?" I went, "Yeah." He went, "You're available then?" I went, "All right. Is it one of them games?" I went, "Yeah." And then after the game, I had like 3 offers to go, like Blackpool, MK Dons and Doncaster. But I knew Doncaster at the time were like getting a new stadium and they're a team on the up and trying to push. So I ended up choosing that. But I walked away from my contract, everything. I just walked away from it. And when I look back, I think probably a silly thing to do at the time. I don't think Paul lasted 2 more months after that. But he came to watch me against Bournemouth when I was at Doncaster. He was watching. Who was the centre forward? I think he kept trying to sign big centre forward for Bournemouth at the time.
Was it that Fletcher lad?
No, it wasn't Fletcher. It was. I think he signed him in the end. He'd been on loan to us. Can't think who it was. Anyway, I played against him and he went back and the lads rang me on the Monday and went, he said, I think I've been a bit harsh on him. We could do with him now. So I was like, all right, yeah, you can say it now. So yeah, but he just, like I said, from day one, he just had it in his head from that. It was weird. It was from that that one game, I think, must have been in his head. But he used to say, I got too many injuries. He used to say that. I got injured playing cricket in that charity match. And my groin, I swung the cricket bat and I felt my groin go. I was like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!"
Oh, I'm going to get
thankfully, it was just scar tissue, so it was all right.
No. Christ. Okay, so have you got anything you want to add, Stevie?
Have you ever come across Sturrock since? Have you ever had a conversation?
I spoke to him when I played at Doncaster. I thought, listen, I respect. He was a good manager. What his beliefs and the way he did it, and how he organised us and all that. So I actually respect him. And people make decisions. I'm being a manager myself. I'm being a coach. You make decisions, and what you believe is right, and you see things. Unfortunately, sometimes people will see things negatively, and they can't get out of the head. And I feel as though he did that a little bit with me, but I wouldn't hold it against anyone. It's like, I know what football's like, and people do. My dad passed away about a year ago in February, and there was people came to that funeral who hadn't spoken to him for 20 years because he dropped them. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's such a weird thing, football. But I'm not like that. I'm not like that with players. now. Like a player can tell me to fuck off, he can do whatever he wants, but if he comes back in the next day and he does the right things, he's back. I'm fine with that. It's just like you've got to be able to.
Have you had any of them though? Have you had any of them where you thought you didn't fancy them, and they've gone somewhere else, and then you thought, oh, they were good actually? Have you had that?
Yeah, there's been players where I've thought no, and then moved somewhere else, and he went, oh, he's actually done all right. Him, yeah, he is. Yeah, you get it. Listen, there's players in your own. I've like when I was Liverpool manager, let players go probably because you see the negatives in people, and you want different things. And Sturrock he brought Coughlin in, and he probably thought he needed more pace alongside him. I mean, Coughlin were probably similar type of players, which he was probably right. But then he didn't try us together. You know what I mean? So like sometimes you might think something in your head, but you might have to just try it. And like I said, I think Woody only got in the team through default. Probably a few players got injured at the time, and then we end up being the two centre halves who played the majority of that season. We got promoted.
Good Lord. I love two big old shit kicker defenders. I'm a big fan of it. Like, you know what I mean?
He had the softest skinner. He had the softest. Every time he headed the ball in, he enough cut his head open, Woody, and he's still the same now. The amount of scars, he's still playing and he's still doing unbelievable. He's what a career he's had.
Yeah, there was a period around 2008 where he got absolutely jacked and all, didn't he? He got absolutely bloody massive at one point.
He did. He started doing it. He went our last season, like he took his top off, like, and I looked and went, "What the you been doing?" And like he was hanging around with Peacock too much, and I think they were on the creatine and all the other stuff, but hitting the gym hard and all that. But he's I was my first introduction to Woody, so he was only a young lad coming in, and I just signed. And me and him were pairing, doing some like pre-season running together. So I went, "All right, mate, what's your name?" And he was like, "You can call me whatever you want." I went, "No, what's your name?" Then he was like, "Oh, Richard." I went, "Right, that's fine." I was like, he was just such a nice lad. But then, what a career he's had as well.
Yeah, he's I mean that run that Doncaster went on last season. At the age that he is, doing what he did in that team's actually really impressive. So you're now in the hot seat now. Are you off now, or are you doing the pre-season at Spennymoor?
No, we're back in 27th of June. It's more phone calls and trying to bring players in and organise pre-season at the moment. So it's different to being a player when you can switch off. You're more sleepless nights, a lot of sleepless nights, making sure you can try and get what's done. Once the season starts, it's a nightmare.
But you're allowed a KFC and they're not. You know what I mean?
Well, that is true.
I'd be sending photos of myself with a big big bucket of chicken. Like, you're right, lads. How's pre-season going for you?
Yeah. No, to be fair, we all the chairman takes them all. We all went a little trip to Marbella at the end of the season, and the lads live like millionaires, so that's it. Like, they have a good go. And to be fair, the staff had a good go as well. But I feel as though this summer I've just drank for the whole summer. I've been with the lads pre-season, end of season Marbella, and then Holland with my youngins football team for 6 days. And then we just got back off a family holiday, and all I've done is drink. I just need to. Now the Euros are on, you can't even stop drinking. So
let them run pre-season things on. That's it. Get back in shape.
Yeah. Paul Sturrock's going to bring you up tomorrow and go, "Come on, 40s and 80s."
I wouldn't last half. I wouldn't even last to 40. Yeah, Jesus Christ! I am going to bring them in this pre-season though for the Spennymoor lads.
Yeah,
I do it with the Middlesbrough lads. I've done it with them for 10 years. We used to call it the promotion run. So if I ever mentioned it, they were like, "Oh no," but no, the Spennymoor lads will get that one this pre-season.
I love the way that the worst thing about training for Paul Sturrock, you've actually gone, "Yeah, that's not bad. That I'm going to take that." And
I know why they've done it. Like the run was like it's not as much as it physically, it's mentally as well. But I hated it. But I was like when the players pick a partner, I was the first pick and running for everyone. I'll go with him. I was like, "Yeah, I bet you will."
Graeme, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's been genuinely one of my favourites, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on. Cheers.
No worries. See you later. Every week, live from 8 p.m. It's the Wednesday week, bringing you football analysis.
That he came in, I think he scored a goal.
Bringing you banter.
Yeah.
Bringing you responsible life hacks.
Met you wonderful souls at 10 a.m. for some shots.
The Wednesday week. 1, 2, 3, 4 live. I normally just turn up and phone it in.
I'm a little bit older than you.
Like,
That zero's gone, that goose egg's gone.
Also featuring player interviews. It's Mr. Lee Bullen, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. John Harps, ladies and gentlemen. It's Captain Fantastic once again. It's Mr. Glenn Lubens.
Oh, it's Mr. David Stockdale joining us this evening.
It's Mr. Lloyd Owusu, ladies and gentlemen. He's joining us live on the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mr. Carlton Palmer. How's it going, CP? You all right? Available on all social medias.
Obviously, this goes out on YouTube and as well as all the other social media out there, podcasts, etc.
The Wednesday Week 24-25 season. Join us next season.
Put on your podcast.